Last thing you need to set up before you can start working is your actual routing. Where are the inputs? Where are the outputs? If you're doing a complicated recording with many microphones, there's lots more to do here. If you're doing a simple mix with stereo speakers or headphones out, this is quite simple. Now again, you go to the studio menu and you go to audio connections. And F4 is your useful shortcuts there. You'll see F1, 2, 3, 4, those you use quite a lot. I'll get back to those when I have a video on most frequently used shortcuts. So F4, we go to audio connections. Now look at the different tabs here. This is our input and output. And as I've explained, different to other software, there's no grid here or long list. That long list you saw in VST connections, or studio setup rather, that is what is available, but this is what you'll see in the project, which also means that you can duplicate stuff. You can have the same channel available, mono, stereo, or multi-channel for something else. Now it'll default to a stereo input and a stereo output, and that's fine if you just want to mix. Now our outputs, they are connected to my monitors 1 and 2 here, so I am ready to go. But I want to show you things that you can create here. Say I have a microphone that I want to use as an input. And I'll actually use the boom microphone as I am using here at this point as an example. So you need to add a bus for that. When I click on add bus, it asks you here, what configuration do you want? This is the input. What are you recording? If it's a single microphone, it's mono. If it's a stereo pair, it's stereo. If you plug in our holophone straight into the recording system, it's 5.1. And you can see you can go up to 6.0 in terms of surround sound, plus ambisonics options, and this menu will look different in Nuendo. You go up to 22.2 and Dolby Atmos and Auro 3D and other surround sound formats. But this gets you far. And this gets you actually quite a bit further than the standard Pro Tools version because you have this built-in surround sound mixing and recording, which is quite useful. But for now, it's just a mono microphone. I can have multiple of them. I can call them stuff, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to say add bus, and there's my mono in. Now you can double click and say it's my boom mic, or I'm going to actually call it my NTG3 that I'm recording on. This will show up on the drop-down menu on the audio track where you choose which mic you want to use. And then you need to set where it's getting the signal from. Now, if you're in the sound studio using our metric halo, as you know, you get a long list of numbers here. So please look at the patch list before choosing the correct number here. I am recording to ADAT 9 here, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if I get this right. And that's going to be my NTG3. We'll come back to this later. Now, output, again, you might have multiple sets of speakers. You might have multiple Q mixers. In this case, I'm going to leave it to stereo, but this is going to be a very important menu to revisit for the third years getting into surround sound, because you will want to have more than one output bus, a stereo one and a surround one. As you know, you need to deliver those two always. And this is an important menu where you set your main mix. But for now, getting into this, stereo output is fine. We're also going to come and revisit the control room where you switch this off, but that's all you need to know for now. I'm not going to cover effects and external instruments and the control room yet. Control room is amazing, but the most simple, basic Cubase setup that you want to do, output straight to monitor 1 and 2. And I'm quickly going to show you what this looks like if you just want to use built-in iMac sound like in Michelle. So I am changing our studio setup to built-in audio, and I'm switching. I'm going back to audio connections, and you see it's already swapped to my built-in audio. This is my headphone. I don't actually have other options here, but this will work perfectly. I will hear sound when I plug in headphones in one of the computers in the lab. I will do an update video on this if it's necessary to show you how the metric halo plays along with Cubase, but that shouldn't be a problem. Let's actually leave it at the built-in audio so that it's closer to how you might see it. And that's pretty much the basic setup that you have to do here. Everything else is much more advanced, so you are ready to go. Next up, we move on to the basic environment of working in Cubase.